And here we are, we're live. Excellent.
Excellent.
A slightly smaller panel than we were expecting, but we're still expecting more people to drop in as we go, because that's the kind of chaos we like. So our main new friend to introduce everyone to is Virginia, because Virginia is somebody we've known her for a long time. She works with Bruce Clay Inc. and she works with Paula, who was on last week. And so it's a real pleasure to meet you, Virginia.
Thank you, Ammon. It's a pleasure to be here and be on a live hangout. It's not something I've done much of. And is my screen changing for anyone, or am I still in the tiny in the corner?
Oh, it's fine. It's looking good.
Okay.
Looking far too good, actually. You make the rest of us look bad. Stop it.
Thank you.
Your
Yes,
bulletin is way too organized.
Well, I am featuring my board of cool inspirational stuff. So, you know, little SpongeBob for your day.
Excellent.
Works.
Right, so let's start with the sanest one. Kristin, say hello.
Hello, I get the sanest one. Okay. Hello. I am Kristin Drysdale, and I'm a CEO assistant for Christopher House of Wyld Media. And I'm also, I guess, as of like this last week, now part of Codebreakers as an assistant to Ammon Johns.
Do you do that all virtually then, Kristin?
Yeah, I'm not in the UK. Yeah, it's all online. Let me see, and what else? Oh, and Lend a Hand is a community that I'm a part of. That was originated by Chris Jenkins, and Ammon's a part of that too. I'm just going to go ahead and pass this on.
Bill, Bill, buddy, partner in crime, introduce yourself.
Okay, we'll do. My name is hello. My name is Bill Slawski. I'm the director of search marketing for Go Fish Digital. I also blog a little bit at a site called SEO by the Sea, and lately I've been looking at patents involving queries and how queries trigger different types of reactions, answer boxes, knowledge panels, product searches, other things like that, and finding some interesting ones. I have to actually write about some of them at some point.
Cool. So we're not bringing up the robots too much again this week. I'm still paranoid.
Yeah, no. Saw a really good movie over the past week that included a couple of robots. And,
What was that?
Interstellar.
Oh,
saw
is it new? Is it out in theaters now?
Brand new. I went to the IMAX World premiere on Thursday at the Air and Space Museum in Northern Virginia. I guess we missed President Obama by a day, but there's still lots of security all over the place. So that was interesting.
I like space movies.
Yeah, they started showing the movie at like 11:50 at night, and it ran for 3 hours. So we didn't get out of the movie theater until really, really late. So it was good I didn't have much to do at work the next day, because I probably slept through a lot of it.
Things we stay up late for.
Were the robots good or bad in that movie?
The robots were funny. They were good too. It wasn't like Hal, the robot that sort of takes over in 2001. It wasn't an evil robot like that. He was one of Matt Damon was the bad guy, and he was actually funny as the bad guy too.
Yeah, it makes a change. A movie where it's not a Brit as the bad guy. What's going on?
It's new times.
I'm Ammon Johns, and I'm part of this madness. We still have guests to turn up, but let's start our usual way. But what's the difference? Let's start with Virginia. What have you been doing this week, Virginia? How's your week been?
The week has been good. I mean, it's only Tuesday, but it's been long already. Just before this, the content team, or some of us, so I manage the content department at Bruce Clay Inc., and we have a weekly podcast. So the podcast is produced by Webmaster Radio and also is available, on iTunes like podcasts are. So just before this show, Christy Kellogg, a content writer, and Paula Allen, who you mentioned previously, she's our senior technical writer, and I recorded some of the podcasts for tomorrow because it comes out every Wednesday. We talked about we kind of tried to do a little behind the scenes about content marketing and how we do that here, because I thought it'd be helpful to talk specifics about how, we went into specifically about the newsletter. Our newsletter is monthly. It has 20,000 subscribers and a 20% open rate, which is like almost 7% higher than the industry average. Yeah. We talked about our process every month of putting together the editorial calendar and deciding what our hot topics are going to be and what the articles are going to be, and just trying to show by example how we're doing content marketing here at the company. It was fun.
It's a really good newsletter, actually. It's one of the ones I subscribe to. I like the fact that it's a mix. It's not just promoting Bruce Clay's content, but it's keeping an eye on moves and shakes in the industry generally. I quite like that section, and I especially like the Attaboy section, where it's kind of giving out little call-outs all across the industry for all kinds of different things, but also looking at the hires and fires and the changes in the industry generally on the business side, which I always think is a very interesting thing nobody else seems to be doing. So
that's fantastic feedback. Thank you.
Kristin, how about your week? I know you, of course, do an awful lot of writing too. What have they had you writing about this week? More shipping?
I choked on a Advil the first time when I was trying to talk, so I apologize for that. Yeah, always shipping. We're pretty global with Wyld, and that's a lot of fun. We're working in Lend a Hand on getting some whole sorts of different stories and spotlights up, and that's just like taking off like crazy. I was hoping that Dustin might show up for this, but I kind of wanted to ask you guys about the new website builder. It's like a virtual website builder, and see if you guys had like any ideas on like if that would be good or if that would like be hard for SEO to like really work with it.
Whose website builder are you talking about? The Google one?
No, gosh, it's like you just plug things in and then it's like a virtual one. It like does it all for you.
Yeah, but there's lots of these. Which one?
Are there? Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know. See, like I said, I'm learning. See how new I am.
Every hosting company has pretty much come up with their own instant website tool, their own website development tool. Everybody's got one. So.
Well, it seemed pretty new to him, so there must be an angle. I'll try to find it while you move on to someone else.
Yeah, generally. Those things, and I mean maybe more so now because SEO is so top of mind for businesses, or at least more so, but they a lot of times can have some downsides to SEO. You need to make sure it's all customizable or optimizable.
With software like WordPress, it's not something most people can pick up and start using right away. There is a bit of a learning curve. But once you've done it a few times, you can set up a website pretty quickly in it. There are free tools, companies that provide templates that you can upload photos to, that you can change text to, stuff like that. And yeah, I get worried when I see someone using one of those, because I'm not completely sure it allows them to do all that they really want to do when it comes to optimizing a website.
Okay, I found it. It's called The Grid.
The Grid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says there's a new platform being built that boasts that it's the artificial intelligence will take all the guessing, testing work out of designing a website. The Grid harnesses the power of artificial intelligence to take everything you know, or everything you throw at it, videos, images, text, URLs, and more, and automatically shape them into a custom website unique to you. As your needs grow, it evolves with you, effortlessly adapting to your needs. Want to add e-commerce? Social feeds, a different layout? The Grid just takes care of it. This is not a website builder. This is your personal AI web builder, web developer.
Let me give John's rebuttal here. I think that kind of gives that first thought, and he's not doing a pirate impression there, although I'm sure he could do a good one. Lee Regler said, web builder platforms have to account for as many generic variables as possible, which means they cover so many bases, they have to include a ton of extra code. And this is something we see a lot with WordPress. Even WordPress, which, you know, is designed to be suitable for a lot of people, there's a lot of extra features in almost every kind of theme, in every kind of blog that you really don't need for your site, and it's still there, and it's still slowing the site down. It's still got hooks in, and even sometimes security vulnerabilities for these extra features that you don't even need. So I'm a huge fan of building the site custom. You know, having a site that's built just for what you need, specifically for what you need, and that's optimized for that, not just for search, but also for the users and for the web experience as a whole.
But it's an AI web designer.
Whatever that means. I did do a search, and I found on their FAQ, it says, how do I manage SEO on the Grid? For our general release, our layout filters automatically handle SEO optimizations using your content. So it auto-creates the site description, page descriptions, page title, and URL, etc. Auto-generated SEO.
So why do you even need to be there?
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to do all the work for you. You don't need. It doesn't need a designer. Hit the start button and let it go off on its own, like a good Black Hat private blog network or something.
It's one of those things, isn't it? You know, let's face it, SEO is easy. I get emails telling me this all the time, that, you know, for $19 a month, I never have to worry about it again. I can be #1 on Google tomorrow, you know. So we know it's very, very easy. So it's nice that they've recognised it. If you believe any of that, I hope the Tooth Fairy leaves you a few tips next time they leave you some money.
Yeah, I like when I spend a week or two writing a blog post about a patent I found and publish it, and somebody leaves a comment that says, that was really obvious. It's like, I'm so tempted to respond to that with, I tell you what, next time I'll just send it to you and you can write the blog post. It took about 20 hours to write that.
People just don't have any clue until, like, they're tasked with something, and then it's in their lap and they have to create it, and they're like, oh, what do I do? And then they're coming back to find you.
Well, it is a good sign of, like, competence if you can make something hard look easy, so maybe that's just a compliment.
It's one of those ones though that I'm seeing this a lot, and people quibbling over price over things that are already quite cheap. Now, John Moore and I have had a little bit of a conversation about this. But there's a company that's been annoying the hell out of John, advertising that they can do the website, all your SEO, everything you possibly need, and post to social media for a really low monthly fee. What quality do you honestly think you're going to get for that? But
will they submit you to 742
and more. Yeah,
Wow.
their advert is probably going to say "and more" at least 3 times during the 30-second commercial.
Wow.
These things tend to, but the thing is, they then meet an actual developer, and they've had this website, all your SEO you possibly need, and post to social media for really low money. Stop the video. That's it. The quality do you honestly think you're going to get for that? But
will they submit you to 742?
Video playing.
Somebody's got YouTube on and they're playing. Yeah.
Sorted. So John, come on. I know this is one of your bugbears. Jump in, John.
Oh yes, website builders. They drive me crazy. I get people all the time that will come to me and want some e-commerce customization, and the first thing I ask them is, where's your website and how did you create your website? And the first answer I get is, I don't know. It just was something that they had there, and usually I look at what they've got, and you can't do it. You can't do any kind of e-commerce customization. You might be able to put a PayPal button on it. It varies. There's some that I can work with a little bit. I've worked with a few, managed to shoehorn something in and make it work, but most of the time it takes a lot more work. Whatever they saved on the website builder, they lost in paying me trying to figure it out.
Yep.
So
the ones that really worry me are, where you see this site and it looks atrocious, but it turns out the cousin made it or something like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, that the cousin nephew syndrome.
Yeah. I think
absolutely.
In between playing banjo or
That's okay. Warren Buffett's cousin built his website for him, and he didn't learn much about how to build them.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you will see a WordPress site where they have 20 plugins deactivated because they've been playing with them. They have 15 themes deactivated because they've been playing with them, and you go in there and they've got all this stuff and they don't realize that even when it's deactivated, it's a security bait. I mean, just because it's activated doesn't mean somebody can't come in and hit one of those files and use it to break into their site.
Yeah.
Hey
Zara.
You got to keep lean and mean.
Lean and mean.
Zara, have you ever been tempted by any of these website builders?
A couple of years ago, I tried one that was supposed to be easy, and it was impossible, actually. It was very frustrating. I mean, if somebody wants something really quick and easy, I would just say go to WordPress.com. And everything's there. I mean, you're not going to do much business there, but if you just want a presence and you don't want to think about anything and you're at a low budget, that is a much easier way to get started than I've tried a couple of them. They were just awful. They were nightmarish. Because they had all these control factors, and I didn't want those control factors. I wanted other factors, and I just gave up on them. They were a nightmare, and I did not feel, one, that they were easy, or two, that that they really accomplished anything at all. Anything at all. I mean, I have a WordPress.com site that's been up for, I think, 6 years, and it's going to die in February because I've just not there anymore. It's the Story Bodyguard, and it's about writing and especially storytelling, and I'm not looking for that business anymore. I have a couple of people who contact me, and I work with them, but I'm not generically looking for clients. So it's about to die. But you know, I ran a contest through that website. You know, and people paid to be in the contest, and so it worked. And it worked at my level of knowledge at the time. But the other websites, the ones that are theoretically easy, I just found them extraordinarily frustrating.
Yeah. It's one of those things, you know, if you want ease, if you want easy, hire a designer.
Yeah.
They just ask you some questions, learn about your business, and they build you a wonderful professional site with no effort apart from signing the check. I mean, come on, guys. If you want easy, the easy is to hire a professional and hire a good one with some reputation.
I think that's really true, although I had a couple of friends who theoretically did that, you know, and they said, oh, I can't do that, and so I'm hiring a web designer. And the web designer designed a site over which they had total control, but the individual could not go in and update anything. They had to send the material to the web designer and then, you know, wait for them to, you know, update the website. So I think when people are shopping for web designers like that, they need to ask questions like, how easy will it be for me to add new information? Because that's a horrible glitch in spontaneity and communication with the people that you want visiting your website. I've known two people who had that frustration, and they, you know, spent a lot of money, and then they had absolutely no input or control over their website, and so they were very frustrated. So, you know, it's all the caveats of taking care of yourself. It's the same thing goes with hiring anybody, is you want to make sure that they understand what your desires are and that it's not just a parked page. If you want to be updating on a regular basis, you need more than just a parked page.
Yeah.
And you have to interrogate the person you're hiring and make sure they're going to let you fulfill what you want to do with your website.
You know what? That's true, Bill. But in one instance, I know this person fairly well. They're not very good at asking questions, much less interrogating and laying down the law. And so for those people, it's a really difficult. It's a difficult challenge because people come with, you know, the shiny new me and say, I can do everything you need, by telling them this is what you need when they don't really know the right questions to ask. People who are really new don't know the right questions to ask.
I'll come to that in a moment because I was talking about this just today with Fernandes about her site. But
yes.
First, let me quickly welcome David because I'm glad you could join us, David. David Kutcher.
Hi, guys. I kind of jumped in at a weird time looking for a web designer, apparently. So,
We were talking about the
as the owner of a web design firm, it was fortuitous, I guess.
We were just talking about those tools that, you know, do it all for you, you know, automatic website builders.
Oh, good God.
Yes.
Yes. You know, I I posted up on the chat on the side an article I wrote, wow, 6 years ago, about how to select a web development firm. And it's just interesting, that everyone starts that conversation oftentimes with the bass backwards side of it, as opposed to starting with the goals and the requirements of what you need to get out of the conversation. They start with, oh, I want it to look pretty and have this aesthetic and yada, 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 as opposed to the business goals and what it's supposed to actually be accomplishing. It's kind of funny how they get caught up in the bells and whistles as opposed to the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very hard to get that conversation turned around too, because once they get locked into that, that's all they see, and you try to turn the conversation around, and sometimes you get a lot of resistance.
Well, it was interesting. I had a help out session today, and the guy came to me with all these challenges because he's starting up a new business. I said, it's great that you want to do WordPress and have a content management system and everything else, but honestly, unless you're going to hire a web designer, web development firm, it's not worth it for you to go this route. Go with Wix.com. Go with these websites to at least get something basic started up. Just so until you know exactly what it is that you need, that they're a good baseline to get 5 pages up, so that you're not bashing your head against the wall trying to figure out exactly what It bothers me when people spend so much time, non-web developers spend so much time worrying about their website as opposed to doing what actually matters for their business, such as making business and writing blog articles if that's part of their business and all these other things. Instead, they're spending time, wasting time, messing around with WordPress or messing around with their server configurations as opposed to doing what actually matters for their business.
Does Wix really help that much? I mean, a program that lets you design your site yourself when you're not a designer?
It doesn't, but what it does is it allows you to, for $10 a month, not have to worry about a hosting, be able to select a template that's fine until you get situated. And it's a stopgap. It's a good stopgap measure as opposed to a final solution. So
yeah, but
when you don't know what you need, it's a good step to figure out what you should be doing in the next month while you need something up there right now.
While you're still writing your business plan and you really don't know what your business is.
Exactly. While you still figure out your business plan.
I think that's a fail to begin with, no?
It's a what?
That's a fail to begin with. You might as well go watch TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem I run into with that is that I've had people come to me in those situations, and they're so glued to that platform that they don't understand that they now need to start all over because they've decided what they want, and it's not possible in that platform. And so now, I become the bad guy because I'm saying, well, you can't do what you want where you're at. You're going to have to start all over. Oh no! I can't do that.
I make it perfectly clear. I'm like, this is a temporary solution. This is all this is. When I recommend Wix or Squarespace, it's a temporary solution. It's one until you figured out exactly where your business is going and what you need out of your website. Because the worst thing is, someone invests thousands of dollars in a website and then they realize that it's not what they need and it won't ever be able to fulfill the requirements. But at $10 a month, it's a stopgap solution.
No, I don't disagree with that as long as they're well informed. The problem is that far too often the people I encounter personally got into that and they thought that was going to be their solution. They thought that was how they were going to go. And then when I come and say, well, based on what you've told me, you can't do it where you're at. You can't do those things in terms of e-commerce or whatever. I mean, there are other solutions, and there are many other solutions, but you're not on it, and that becomes a very bad news thing. And oftentimes, far too often, they just sort of disappear in frustration. So I see those website builders as more damaging than good for many of those types of people. unless of course, like if you are as a person saying, okay, go try this out and kind of get your feel, knowing that you're going to have to start all over, I think that's fine. I think that's perfectly fine. I don't run into very many of those people that are willing to say, yeah, I know, I'd have to start all over again now.
Yeah.
I think that's a process of education and a responsibility of people like you, John, that are doing these things. And unfortunately, there are other people. I can't remember when we all came in together, but I was mentioning earlier a friend who had a web designer, who really cut her off from any input into
that's bad.
into the web, into communicating with the people that were visiting the website, and that just like saying, hey, go use Wix or something like that as a temporary stopgap measure until you're ready to really do it. The same thing can happen, and unfortunately, for people who are not experienced in being on the web, but know that they want that presence and know that they want to communicate with, potential clients or whoever they're communicating with, there is a lot of ignorance out there. It's like, well, if I get a website, here's what a lot of people think. Oh, if I have a website, it's a done deal and I'm cool, without understanding how to get their information out or how search integrates with what they're putting on the web.
Let me say hello.
David.
Mark, who both joined us. So, Tim, how was getting started with the web for you? I mean, did you ever be tempted by one of these easy website builders, or did you know that you needed to do it right from the start?
I cut my teeth in Mozilla's pre-version of what became the Netscape site builder that was integrated in the web browser. As Mosaic, I think it was, not Mozilla, was the web browser part that was created.
Yeah.
And when that came out, I was doing computer consulting and network system engineering, and people said, I need you to do this for me. I said, okay, what do you want to do with it? What do you want to accomplish? Because used to building computer networks, there are certain things you have to know in place. And so I learned, when we got drag and drop, that just went to easy mode. Because I can remember having to write it in HTML, load it in a browser. No, that's not right. Go back. Because then you couldn't edit, because your editor was pure text editor. There was no flipping back and forth between the code and the visual, or having a split screen where you could see what you were doing if you were doing coding. And as people got these, like webs.com and stuff like those started coming around, I knew some people that used them. I played with them out of curiosity, not for any real functional purpose, just kind of, like I said, playing, to kind of get an idea of what people were going to expect, because people would ask when they were first new, because, building a website back then was big. People were scared of all this money they were going to have to spend. So when those little quickie hosty companies came along, those were the ultimate solution before Front Page came out, so that they didn't have to pay you to do it.
Yeah. That again is the thing. The editors that we used to have in the past. I mean, Macromedia, DreamWorks was Dreamweaver rather, was one of the better, and even that.
Yes.
even that, if you were working purely in the visual mode, I'm going to tell you off. You need to be getting in with the code. It's one thing that I do try and tell everyone. If you're going to be dealing with the web, learn HTML, learn the language of it. Because even if you're not going to become a designer, it's going to enable you to understand your designer better. It's going to enable you to have better conversations with whoever is doing your website. So it is one of those things. I did promise some quick tips, but before I do some quick tips, Mark, does being part of a big and prestigious company mean that you don't have to deal with clients like this, or do you still get those turkey websites as well?
I have minions, Ammon. That's all I'll say. I have minions.
I think some of them build websites.
Are they the little yellow ones like Despicable Me?
Yeah.
They're so cute.
One of the big tips that I give to people starting out is, you don't understand the technical stuff of the web, and it's very difficult to find a designer or an SEO when you're a complete newbie. You don't know what you don't know even, so you kind of get hoodwinked in by who sounds confident. You know what? There's a reason that confidence tricksters have that word in their name. Sometimes the people who sound the most confident are the people you can trust the least, especially when they tell you they can guarantee page 1 on Google tomorrow. Stick with what you know. Now, what do you know? Well, you know your local town, so why not go with a local supplier, somebody that you can meet with eye to eye. It's not impossible for somebody like that to con you, but it's a lot harder. And you've got someone you can go to and speak to face about things. You will just get a better feel, because you don't have to know the technicals. If you know people, you can tell whether this guy's doing his best for you.
Yeah, the amazing thing, Ammon, is that works even with large companies. Most of our clients are larger brands, but a lot of the long-term business that we have started with Eric meeting somebody at a conference, face-to-face, getting to know them. They may have known him online, may have known a little bit of his reputation, but once the face-to-face meeting took place, once they had talked with him, they had that trust in him and went. So it's not just for small companies.
Yeah, and the second part to that is, if that's still not right for you, go with the people you know, like, and trust. Ask who they use, not who they'd recommend. Who they use, because it's easy for them to give the big name. Oh, this person's a superstar. They've never used them. They don't know. There are some people who are well known who are not great, and it can be a problem. There can be a mismatch there. So go with who they've actually used, because the real trick when starting out is you don't need the superstar. You don't need the best web designer in the world. You don't need the best marketer in the world. You need somebody who's going to be honest, trustworthy, and reliable to get you started, and you will learn from there what you need to improve. The most important thing is that responsibility, that reliability above all else. Above performance at that early stage is getting reliable, because from reliable you can build data. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't screw them up. Don't get them down a blind alley. Make sure that you leave them with options, and that you keep them well informed.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, Ammon. It's this year, in the last 2 years, 3 years, my company's been doing a lot of restaurant sites, and it started with 1 or 2, and then we realized, it's all coming from word-of-mouth referrals of restaurant owners going to those restaurants and going, hey, we loved your website, who did it? And then basically hiring us. It's turned into almost 20 restaurants over the last 3 years, and we just keep on churning these things out, just because it's restaurant owner talking to others and chef talking to chef, and it's if you can make one happy, you can make them all happy, because they all talk to each other. So as long as you're dead on about, these guys just go in and they say, don't tell me who you recommend, but who did yours, and did you like working with them?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark gives a very important tip here. Never hire people who type during HOAs without muting. I think that is a really important point. obviously they
Yeah,
can't be trusted.
that hairy guy that's too close to the screen down there, he looks real suspicious. I'm surprised you haven't bounced him from this hangout.
He's in the name of the show. You know, fabulous. No, oh,
Wow,
Bill.
how much did you pay for that?
Hey, Mark, leave him alone. He's one of my Sioux children, okay?
Oh, okay. Back to you guys.
Don't want to mess with Mama.
So we know that getting started with websites is difficult, and we know that none of us seem to recommend any of these instant builders. I mean, there really isn't much you can do with these, and I know Carmen was pointing out a while ago that in some of these groups online, especially on Facebook, there were people boasting about how little they've spent to set up their business. Isn't that A, crazy, that that would be something you'd boast about, and B, what on earth did I expect? It's like going out there and saying, hey everyone, we use the cheapest employees we can possibly find. We employ the people who can't even get minimum wage.
We use the cheapest materials in everything we make. You're going to get the lowest quality product out there. That's basically what they're saying.
Wait,
On
you mean
your
it's not okay to source your logo from a design competition website and pay $45 for it? That's not okay?
It's your logo.
That's
I
what
don't see many people doing that, though. I would think that you would treat your business like your baby and, like, think about, like, sending them to a good college. You don't ever tell somebody, yes, my kid got into community college and we're going to, you know, be able to punch it out in maybe a couple $1,000s altogether. Like,
Makes you wonder how they treat your children.
Yeah.
I decided university was too expensive for my children, so I employed our Mexican gardener to teach them Spanish.
Probably the best person to teach them Spanish.
It probably is.
Then again,
At least the
it
syntax
depends
would be
exactly what language you want them to pick up.
Good point. Or dialect.
But this brings me to another point, and this one, I'm afraid it's going to be another deep one. What about all these people who outsource their graphics to Fiverr? And you've got people, you know, unlimited graphics, revisions for $5. And of course, what's happening is what these people are doing is going out on the web, lifting somebody else's graphics, doing a small tweak to it, selling it to you for $5. Fiverr don't take any responsibility. A real artist's work has been ripped off. They're having to go through all kinds of legal hassles with Fiverr. Well, it's not down to us. Somebody else put this up. This is what you're doing to the economy when you do this. There is no free lunch.
No.
Yeah, and people will brag about it too. They will stand and brag how what they got on Fiverr, you know, and as though that made them a more astute business person. It's incredible. I mean, I used to go to this internet group down in San Diego for a while because I wanted to see what was happening locally. And Fiverr is like, man, everybody does stuff with Fiverr and they brag about it. So it is. I stopped going because the mentality there was just not something I could relate to.
Yeah. And the trouble is, there's so many clones of it as well. There are so many other versions that are pretty much the same thing. Because it's great for whoever runs that site, but it's terrible for everybody else.
I didn't realize that's how, like, people would come up with logo designs with Fiverr, just kind of ripping stuff off.
Oh yeah.
And I totally, that doesn't sound good at all. But isn't kind of design a lot of recycling anyway?
The lynch mob conform.
My daughter, who's an artist and does a lot of logos for us, would probably have her hands around your neck, saying, "No, no."
Just ask her if blogging is a lot of recycling anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
in a way, I mean, you're trying to. I mean, there's certain conventions, and we are trying to refit them to different content. And I know that, I mean, Mark, you in the comments said Canva plus my Google image search skills equal riches $5 at a time. But I love Canva. It's like a little WYSIWYG, like helps me come up with little graphics for everything I need.
I'm not dissing Canva necessarily. I use it every day because I have no Photoshop skills whatsoever. So it's the poor man's, Photoshop. But I was just making a joke on the basis of saying, like, take an image, alter it slightly, which you can do in Canva in 2 seconds, and sell it on Fiverr for $5.
And I totally think that there's a certain aesthetic that websites are moving towards, and so we could all say, like, oh, that looks dated, or oh, that looks really modern, and so I'm not trying to, like, diss design, and I think that good design is critical for getting the message across.
I think you're hitting on something that's really important. Is that in actuality, most designers are not designers anymore, and at the same time, most web designs aren't actually custom designed anymore. They're actually just downloaded templates for $45 that are being customized. So a lot of design, there's actually not nearly as much design going on as you'd think there should be or would be, because everything has become plug and play so much these days. When you can go onto Theme Forest and just buy a theme, yeah, everything starts looking the same, and it's not necessarily a good thing. I don't know why a company would want a theme that probably 100 other companies are using in their same space that they all went onto Theme Forest and bought for $45. And that's, in my opinion, a failure of design and a failure of designers being able to showcase why they're valuable. Yeah. And just like Mark was saying, Canva plus Google image search. Yeah, when Canva itself is saying, like, we have a design university now, the tools don't make a designer. A designer has ability and knowledge that transcends what tools they're using.
But David, I agree with that, and I think the tenor of our discussion is that the workman is worthy of her hire, right? That you're going to hire professionals, you pay more, you should expect more. At the same time, for the everyday blogger to be able now to turn out, like me, even though I work for a professional company, I have access to design people. But there's a lot of times every day when I want to get something out quickly for a Google Plus share, but I want to put an image with it, that something like Canva helps me to do that quickly and efficiently. I'm not trying to make the Mona Lisa, and I'm not trying to design an ebook to sell. I'm just trying to get an image that will be effective immediately. Don't you think there's some space for that?
Oh, I agree. There's definitely. It's a great tool in terms of quick and easy and painless and free for the most part. But it's when you need more beyond that it starts getting. You need to recognize what a designer brings to the table. And I would never even call myself a designer, and I was a graphic designer at one point. But it's what do these people bring to the table, and it's how now it's mostly copying and pasting so much. It's losing that ability. Yeah. Which is why a real designer, I think, brings a whole lot to the table, because they're bringing something unique that's just for you, that can make your brand and image stand apart from all of the other companies that are using the same theme.
So most of us are trying not to say anything bad about Canva. Sorry, I'm going to break that mold. Canva is bad. It's bad for you. It is the cholesterol-loaded, instant, quick food that is going to kill you. It is the alternative to spending just 1 week learning how to use GIMP and having that skill for the rest of your life. They want to keep you stupid and dependent on them. They want you not to learn to use graphics. And graphics, it's not rocket science. You can learn to use GIMP. There are 1,000 tutorials on almost any effect you want to achieve. There are people walking you through the whole process. You can learn this, any of you on this panel, for a week. Anyone in the audience, in 1 week you can learn to use GIMP and produce better results.
I know I could. My time is not worth it. I'd rather put that week into something else. That's a choice that we all have to make in everything we do. There's things that we pay for. There's things that we do on the cheap. There's things that we invest the time to learn. You can't do everything.
I know, but I still like the idea of actually, if I can't do the graphics, that's fine. Why don't I hire a graphic designer, somebody who has put in the time and the skill, rather than an overpriced piece of clip art, which is what Canva is. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. It's clip art.
I love that you're being the voice.
In one of my jobs where we would cut and paste the various bits of clip art, quickly photocopy it, get it into the order we wanted. You know, it was when we did graphics editing with a scalpel and paper and a light box. But that's what we did. It was quick, it was dirty, it was easy.
You want to get Canva? Wait, no.
It's like
go ahead.
Oh, it kind of just parallels what you're saying, Ammon, with also learning HTML, right? Like you're being the voice of like you can be technical, don't be afraid of it. It will help you immensely, and but there's maybe a place for tools like Canva, and just like maybe Wix, like maybe in a pinch, you know, you can just put that up as a stopgap and make sure that you have a small presence, as long as you understand that it's temporary. I don't know. I just kind of felt like it came full circle, and there's important to be technically competent and not shy away from that, but at the same time know that there are tools that maybe when used for their proper purpose can be very helpful.
Yeah.
So is world growing increasingly stopgap-ish? Do people take honor in their craft and satisfaction out of creating something by hand that maybe takes a little bit of work?
I think the world is transforming because we're all publishers now. We're all photographers. I mean, what was it before? Like you had to learn skills of using chemicals and be in a dark room, and now everybody's a photographer and everybody has a YouTube channel. Everybody has a blog. You know, like we're all just becoming a lot more productive, and so these tools have just allowed for it.
Oh, I think you use productive in the wrong sense. I think we create more crap, but we're not necessarily more productive.
Let me give one little example.
And that's a fine line that you have to really struggle with not crossing.
Uh-huh.
I had to talk out my language too.
It contributes to the information glut that muddies the water even more to make it easier to be seen.
The thing that worries me is years ago we used to have town centres with a lot of shops in. You know, we all had high streets, and there were a lot of great shops in there, and there was a choice. And over recent years, the supermarkets have been taking over more and more. When you ask people individually, they say they love customer service, they love those quaint shops, they like that, but it's so quick and easy to just go into the supermarket. And we've been losing those stores for decades. We've been losing craftsmen for decades. At some point, we have to start putting our money where our mouths are and saying, is this the world I want? Is this quick fix world that does get cheaper and nastier and more plastic by the day what I want to be leaving as a legacy for my children? Do I want my children to have a world with no craftsmen, with no graphic designers, with no HTML programmers, with no designers? Because there's always a cheaper alternative that will do.
I don't think it's a zero-sum game. I mean, we still invest, like I said, I do both, and I'm being unashamed about this here. I do create quick graphics several times a day because I like my posts to have a visual element to them, but I can't wait, like I said in the comments here, 3 or 4 days for our designer to return 3 drafts to me. So, but for the content that really matters to us, yes, we do. We plan weeks in advance and get professional design graphics. We're investing in building a professional video studio and getting professional lighting and these kinds of things. We're sending our graphics guy for training to get better at that. So I think there's room for both, Ammon, and I don't think it's dying. I think you need to select where you can invest the time and money in that.
Yeah, I just think that a lot of us, certainly on this panel, you know, we are people that others look to. If we don't set the example and accept that they'll only be half of my doing what we're doing, if we're not supporting the craftsman mostly, they won't be supporting the craftsman almost at all. And the people that they influence won't be supporting craftsmen full stop. It'll just be the canvas. We're a small number, and people don't follow everything we do, they follow some of it. Don't we have to kind of really set that extreme example sometimes just to make that point?
Well, you know, there's nothing wrong with spit and baling wire. I grew up on a farm, and that's how farms work, is on spit and baling wire, you know. But even then, you've got to know where those lines are and where you have to then turn around and really put the effort in to make sure your equipment's working right. That baling wire is only going to hold so long, and you've got to understand that. The thing that I think is lost is that people don't understand where that line is anymore. They're starting to think that the spit and baling wire is all they ever need, is good enough for anything. And just understanding that it's appropriate sometimes. I've used it myself. Baling wire is like the greatest stuff ever invented, but at the same time, along with duct tape. Duct tape's another really good one too.
I was going to say, can't forget duct tape.
But
We can fix
still,
anything.
you have to know what its limits are.
Yeah. Sticky tape, you know, these are the things the world is built with.
Yeah.
I really like Mark's distinction between using a designer for the big stuff, and then, you know, using something like Canva or whatever for, you know, your instant posts that you just want to get out there right now. That is a huge distinction, and it still applies to farming. You know, with farming, you are going to make, you know, quick fixes with baling wire or whatever is handy, but at the same time, you know, you want your barn to be clean and to work. I had dairy animals; it had to be clean. And so, you know, there's a distinction between the big and the structural, and the things that make things go forward quickly on a day-to-day basis. So I think for people who are just starting out, that including in your budget someone to do design work for you for your logo or the image that you want to put across is a really important thing, that it's recognizable across all of your web presence, wherever you might be. There's that visual that is instantly connected with you and your business. And that is really important, and that is definitely not a $5 deal.
Ammon, I just want to know one thing, Ammon and Bill. Please give us all the name of the fantastic, high-end, obviously high-paid and highly skilled designer who created the banner for the Bogus Hangout.
I don't have to wait on a designer because I taught myself enough to get by. And if you weren't using Canva, you would be able, in 20 minutes, to create your own custom graphics from scratch. I create lower thirds for lots of other people. I do lots of bits and pieces.
I guarantee you, I could create that exact same banner in Canva.
I don't doubt you can.
I applaud that you can, but I don't know that I want to write something myself or pay 10,000 monkeys sitting at typewriters on the chance that one of them might come up with some Shakespeare at some point in time. So, you know,
I don't think that's a valid analogy. I mean, sure, if I had my grandkids go mess around in Canva and I put that up on a blog post, it would be cute, but it'd be a mess. I mean, while I joked earlier that I don't have any Photoshop skills, I think I have enough of an eye that I can go in and use a tool like Canva, and I'm not creating a mess, hopefully, in most cases. I'm not creating anything that's going to hang on the Metropolitan Museum of Art wall, but it's useful for what I need it to do at the time. And I think that's all I'm trying to say, is that it's not Canva that's ruining the world. It's people who have access to simple and free tools who don't have any eye or any taste and create stuff anyway.
Yeah, and I really want to jump in here. Canva doesn't just spit out tools for you. They have tons of tutorials that actually teach you about design, and they teach you about lettering, how to put different fonts together. They do have those tutorials, and I know I've read somewhere, I wish I could pull it out exactly where it was in Canva, but they recognize that they are like that middle platform for people. They're not trying to say, don't go beyond us. I don't think that anyone could go into Canva and do this particular graphic because of the head thing. You know, like you have to get the pixels really fine to, you know, get all the edges off. And I've used Canva like all the time, and I don't know of a feature in there, but I did want to throw that out there. Yeah. So.
I'm gonna come in on Ammon and Bill's side for a moment and say, well, you know, while I appreciate the tutorials at Canva and they're good, I think they are also dangerous because they are no substitute for the kind of training, the years of training and mentorship and everything that goes into a really good graphic designer. So the danger of anything like that, just like the danger of getting a quick 3 tips on how to create an HTML page, is that you now think I'm a designer, I know what to do. On one hand, maybe it's better to know some of those things than not, certainly, but I could see on the other side where that could lead to more schlock because you get overconfident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Confidence killed the cat.
Good point. He says design is not about how, but about why, and that's the part that tutorials can't really tell you, is that there can be 20 years of experience behind the why rather than the how.
And that's a very valid point. And you got that experience through practice, through training, through making mistakes and learning from those mistakes, from having successes and figuring out where you can do better. And that's not something a tutorial can teach you. It's something that can only be gained through application and experience and focus on a given subject, whether it's web design or graphic design.
Okay, then again, what is the difference between Canva tutorials and GIMP tutorials?
20
that
years.
was the point that Ammon was making earlier.
Those tutorials are out there about Canva. They're specific to Canva, but they're just reworkings of articles that I read originally back in the 90s. I'd rather see links to the originals that inspired them a lot of the time, rather than just a reworking that's just for this tool, and it hasn't added anything original. If anything, it's just dumbed it down. I'm not really anti-Canva. It's the fast food of graphics. I've eaten at McDonald's. When I'm in a real hurry and I need to pick up some food, in the 2 minutes I've got, I will use McDonald's, but I will feel damn guilty about it, and I will understand that that's some money a restaurant or a sandwich shop or a baker's didn't get that day. And I know that I need to then make sure I'm supporting them too, or those things won't be around. And I think there is a temptation for people to use Canva as a first stop and then only call in the professional when they need the professional. And that means there's a lot less work for the professional, and that means that professional may not be able to stay in business, and then there is no professional. So I just think it's one of those awareness things. Understand it's fast food. Don't make it a part of your diet. we're at the top of the hour, so let's get last thoughts from everybody. Virginia, first time here, and how was it for you, and what are you up to this week?
That was super fun. You guys are doing really cool things, and I think Hangouts and stuff is pretty cool. I mean, just this week I was decorating my stepson's bedroom with these like vinyl stickers. They're like removable, and like we made his bedroom into this whole Mario Kart not Kart, Mario Brothers design, and it's like got the bricks over here and the characters and these coins, and he knows all the names, and he like made it realistic, and it was really cool. So we're designing this, and I said, why don't we turn on the Mario Brothers soundtrack? And so we're do and designing, and I was like, geez, this is a really neat world that we live in. On demand, turn your life into a video game, and just trips me out. So thank you for inviting me, and hope to be on more of these.
You're very welcome. Next time you'll have to do a hangout while you do it. You know, the Mario Hangout. Turn your world into Mario World.
Yes, maybe if I have one of those cool, like green screen backgrounds where it's like Mario jumping around. And,
yeah. John, you were next in, really. So, how about you? What are you up to?
Oh, just starting to think about the holidays coming. We just came back from Big Bear with the family vacation, and we had everybody there, and I just really loved. We just really had a great time sitting around the fire and playing. We played Monopoly, and Marilyn won. She wiped us all out. She's out there. She's doing this, you know. She's on the other side of this screen here. And we went hiking, and we had great food. So it was a super time. We look forward to it every year. And it was the last of my son's month-and-a-half-long birthday. We kind of celebrate his birthday starting in early October and on into November, and he loves that. So it was a great time.
I'm just going to quickly pull in this comment by Paula, who says that education has been a recurring theme throughout this conversation, from learning HTML and learning about the website options to the dangers generally of just having a little bit too little knowledge, or of relying on simple tools without really understanding what they do. I think that's a great observation, Paula.
Yeah.
Right, let me see. Tim.
Well, as some of them may have noticed, if you're one of those that tolerate following me, I had recently done a couple of paintings. The last painting, I applied a new trick, and I don't know, and I'd appreciate everybody else's opinion on this, is take a look at the last two paintings I posted, and tell me if I'm imagining or not, but the second and latest painting seems more luminous and more vibrant, because I think I found something to get the effect I want in my paintings, and just like a little positive or negative reinforcement there to find out if I'm on the right track or not. Next week, sorry?
I'll pop by and have a look for that. What's next week?
Next week I'm going on the fall color tour, get some source material for paintings and such. We're hoping for a sunny day. We're dropping to 23 Fahrenheit here Thursday night. In southeast Oklahoma. That's a decent drop. We normally don't go that far unless it's wind chill, and that's without wind chill. So hopefully the colors will still be there, and what the art will start back up next Wednesday with tackling a dull and boring topic that is necessary for all businesses that artists just tend to forget: a business plan.
Excellent. Good stuff.
And how to get help doing one.
Excellent. Zara?
Haha. Well, I'm back this week, as it were, and feels good. I had a wonderful vacation, and before and during my vacation, I was Ammonized, which was just a totally fabulous experience. And I have the last 2 days been going through the 2 sessions and taking notes and doing some planning and doing some brainstorming. I'm spending November and December just sort of reformatting my business and my business plan, Tim. And anyway, it's a good week. Oh, the newest thing, the thing that I learned about on vacation was geocaching. And I've been out twice and found 2 caches, and pretty fun.
Excellent. Nice. Mark.
Yeah.
And then we'll introduce this new person with David. What are you up to, Mark?
We're all being upstaged there, definitely. Well, first of all, I am working hard to carve out time out of my Tuesday for this time every week, because this is one of the best conversations online on Google+. I love what you guys are doing here. It's a lot of fun. And thanks for including me. Second is I'm enjoying this week being in my brand new digs, my new office. I've been working out of my home the last 10 months since I started working for Stone Temple Consulting. But this is my new office in downtown Durham, and I am digging it because this is the oldest and best, I don't know if you can see the ceiling detail there, Art Deco building in the state of North Carolina, the old Crest department store. This is what they used to do in department stores on the ceilings. I mean, just like incredible details everywhere. And you should see the outside of the building. So it's a very cool space. I'm working in a kind of a startup community here, so I get a lot of great interaction. And it feels good to be downtown. I'm enjoying it.
Excellent. Nice. If you're going to be doing many hangouts from there, you'll want to get yourself either some tapestries to hang on the wall or some soft canvases to just help with the sound.
Yeah, we noticed that. Like I said, this is the first day today. We did a show earlier today and noticed how gloomy it is. Again, the high ceilings. So yeah, I'm going to have to invest in doing some things for the sound. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or I'll just do it on Canva.
And it's nice to have an old building. Just the right surroundings just put you in the right frame of mind, don't they? So, David, who is this chap?
This is Eloise, who decided she did not want to nap today. So yes, she's joining me in a hangout, but she's done this before, right? Yeah, you're a pro. Yes.
Get her saying hello. Hi.
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 Yeah.
Well, to everyone who's joined, well,
There we go.
Kristin, what are you up to this week?
Oh, just, same old, trying to crack stories and and sharing everybody else's cool stuff with my little fun intros. Yeah, just learning always, and someday I'll have my own things to share. And okay, so I really do. I'm working on a project that is going to be like a picture repository for before and after sort of thing. And I'm working on gathering data. So if anyone would like to donate their past identities to me, then I would love that. And then I'll put you in the study with me, and we'll go from there.
Can you drop some notes on that into the event page so that anyone
Sure.
who wants to learn more about it can pick it up?
Yeah.
Bill, what's your week ahead looking like?
I'm not sure. The holiday right in the middle sort of messes things up. And the fact that I couldn't go off to Washington, D.C. today and watch the big concert they give in honor of the veterans, that would have been nice, but I'm spending the day working, and I'll probably keep on doing that. I'm trying to discover some of the really early patents from Google that nobody else has seen yet. And found one last week they acquired from a company called Brand Name Stores in like the year 2000 or 1999, and it talks about product search.
Oh, I thought it was going to be about parties if it was 1999.
No, but that would have been a good one. I have to look for that one.
I'm sure it's out there. As for me, it's a usual week. I'm being a curmudgeon and then being more of a curmudgeon. So that's it. Thanks everyone on the panel. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you for another Bogus Hangout next week. Take care, everyone.
Bye now.